I've reviewed the most recent two Against Myself albums. The newest one that was out late last year or something, and then the album previous to that, I forgot the titles of them. But I reviewed both of them on the channel, and what I had to say was the solos that were there in the music were really, really good solos. There wasn't solos in every track, which was a bit of a pain in the backside. The vocals by Irene were incredible. One of them melodic piano songs off the new album were superb. Her voice was just so angelic and so beautiful. But she has a lot of range to her. She used effects. She had an opera style, a very nice clean style, a bit more aggressive and grit, and the like highs and lows. She had a lot of range to her. She put effects on her voice to just give her this massively wide spectrum. And even on the album before the new one, she still hit different realms of her voice. So she had a lot of variation to her vocals. And now, this is a single that they have just released as of yesterday, I believe. The Tempest. Now, this is quite interesting and a major point for Against Myself. Because the vocalist Irene, they went and sacked her. Now, according to Against Myself, they parted ways on good terms, and they are still on speaking terms as friends. So they parted ways and they agreed on it. They're both very good friends, and she doesn't mind the new vocalist. But if you look at what Irene said on her Facebook about that interview in particular, she said she needed to speak out and she couldn't stay quiet any longer. They're a bunch of liars, basically. And she said, I wasn't taught out of the band or agreed on it. I was absolutely kicked out. They just sacked me. I've been with these from the start and they've been my friends and this has been my life and they kicked me out for no reason. Also, we're not on good speaking terms because she doesn't really like them anymore, and I think the band would ignore her anyway if they just abruptly kicked her out. I don't think they have any means to talk to Irene if that was what they did. Also, they said that they wish her the best, and Irene said, I don't know how they can wish me the best when they've wrecked my life. So she was very aggressive and hates what's happened. And I thought she was a fantastic singer, and to treat a person like that, I don't agree with. Just because I don't know Irene, I'm not going to be a type of person who goes, I don't care, I don't know her, so I don't care, she's suffering, fine. I'd have to know her to care. No, even though I don't know her, and I don't know the full story, from what Irene has said, that is really, really bad. It's terrible that a band can do that when it's your band and you put that effort in, yet you have no power over it when the consensus of the band will all force you out, and then you've just got nothing to work with. It's absolutely atrocious, and as far as a fan, because I am a fan of theirs, she was an incredible vocalist, and I just got into them, and I was looking forward to seeing more from them, but I never am going to get the chance because she's been removed from this project. And yes, she could join other bands, but then I have no idea what she's going to be like in this other band, because the band as a whole are very good by making diverse songs. They make some really long songs with chapter times that go through a lot of different variations. They had orchestral choir stuff in their newest album that was different from their previous albums. The vocalist had so much range, and I loved her voice. She had such a beautiful voice, as well as an operatic voice at times, and just grace and beauty, and she put like emotion into her stuff. So when she wanted to be a bit more gritty and aggressive, she could do that. She was very good. And as I say, the guitars and even the keyboards, because the keyboards would have solos, when they did the solos, they were very good with lots of variation and always a focal point of melody instead of just going just balls to the wall, we'll do shred and just forget about it. No, they definitely took their time and thought about it to make something really musical and engaging. So it's so bad that the unit has collapsed. So they've gone and hired this new vocalist, and we haven't heard anything till this, be it why this track in particular is a very big point for the band. Now, I heard her in a different band, because she is in another band. She was atrocious and terrible, but the mixing was awful, and there was lots of screams and garbage in that, which really kind of drowned out her. There is also a clip on YouTube of her doing an audition, basically, on YouTube, where she sung some of the old songs of Irene. And I didn't really like her. She was so operatic and really trying like she absolutely loves the smell of her own stink. You know, it's just like, I have such an operatic voice and look at me and I'm putting so much effort in. She just gave off an impression of just like she was really full of it and things. Like, that is just the impression I got. I don't know if that was what she was like. But anyway, the voice itself on the YouTube video, it was so operatic when what Irene did and what she's covering to try and, sound alike was completely not the same. Irene wasn't going operatic. It was clean and angelic and graceful. And then she's going in, going, all of this, which is just wrecking what Irene did. It didn't have the time or space for something going like that. It didn't fit it. And she didn't do any variation, so I'm like, fine, you can do the operatic thing, good for you, but there's nothing else. So I kind of thought maybe she's just maybe she just has the mindset of, oh, because I can do the that's the best thing, so I need to put that foot forward. And obviously she's just singing into a mic, it's not studialized, so I don't hear it in a really good, masterfully mixed thing. So going into this track, The Tempest, I've not been really positive and I've been kind of dreading it because from what I've heard of her, she's not great, and Irene was brilliant, and how the band have treated her has left me really disliking the attitude of the band. Now, they've released a music video alongside this, and the music video, I think, is also kind of insulting, and I don't know if it's a middle finger to Irene. I don't know, it's just the impression I got, is before the song starts, it's them all in the studio, the band just, giving a good old punch on the shoulders, like, job well done, going to the new vocalist, and they're, smiling and grinning at her, giving her the thumbs up, and then she's grinning and like, oh, shucks, you good guys, we're all great pals, it's like we've been friends for years. It's like, I don't know if you're doing this as your first actual music video, for your first ever single, and you're showing how buddies you are, and how great you are, and how strong the connection is, to really draw the light away from Irene and just overplay what she said about the band. I don't know if that was the attempt and why they did that, but I found it came across as quite insulting. And yeah, I just found it insulting, and they used the lead singer now to advertise all their merchandise of teas and everything. I'm like, you shouldn't do that. You should have used one of the other members instead of bring her in to now advertise everything and be now the whole look of Against Myself when you just went and sacked this singer. So, the song in itself. Now, musically, when the song actually starts and kicks in, you have a guitar lead. It's not a lead solo, it's just going for a lead, and it's pretty nice. I like it because it adds more musicality to it. I like hearing it. There's a solo, there's a key solo, there's a choir they bring in. It's not an operatic choir, it's just a very typical bland kind of choir. But the important thing is what the singer's like. So she comes in and she's operatic again. And that is kind of it. For 6 minutes, over 6 minutes, it's just a lot of operatic, and that is it. There is no variation. She doesn't do anything else. There's no deep tone, high tones, grace, melody. It's just operatic. It's just a lot of hi hi hi. And watching the video, it's just like, will you please just not think so highly of yourself and do something different? Like, the amount of lip movement on her in the video is ridiculous. Her lips are like, as she keeps moving her lips around to get all these different kind of nuances in this operatic voice, instead of just going, nah. She moves her lips so it's going. So all the notes are just going flying all over the place. Her tone is jumping all over the place because she keeps moving her lips ridiculously, and she won't shut up with the operatic stuff. Now, operatic is good. It is a talent. It takes a lot of training in order to do that. So I'm not saying she's bad. It takes a lot of training. It's a very hard thing to master, and she is pretty damn good at it. But the problem is this is 6 minutes of this chunk of just singing. I've heard it in the first bloody verse. Now I've gotten a few dozen verses and choruses and bridges where you don't do anything else. It doesn't show a very versatile vocalist. If a guitarist, let's take the band Dragon Force. Herman Lee is a very talented guitarist, but a lot of people know him as very limited and actually not that good because all he does is shred. Now that becomes stale, it becomes boring. He's not a versatile guitarist. So to say he's one of the guitar gods like the people of Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, you know, the guitarists in Metallica or something, Avenged Sevenfold, Sinister Gates, they're versatile. They do a lot of things. When it comes to Herman Lee, do you think he really deserves the title of that? When all he does is shred and he's incapable of doing anything else. He's not a good songwriter. He's not a good musician because he can't do any of these other things. He's great at shred, but then all these other guitarists I've mentioned are great at shred and then half a dozen other things. This vocalist, she's very good at the operatic stuff, but then how versatile is she? Is she a very, very good singer? Well, no, because she can't do anything else. She's not a versatile singer. There's not versatility. There is not a lot of depth to her, and therefore there's not as much depth to the music. Irene in each song had different sounds and vibes, and then she portrayed that in her different takes with her vocal cords. This vocalist, I know it's just one song and maybe there is more to it. I'm very doubtful. So if that is the case, each song is going to be this exact same sound from her. And the band can try what they can and do as much as they can. But the voice is one of the bigger elements of a song, and the fact that it's going to be overshadowed with just this operatic tone is going to get very stale. I got unbelievably bored in this song. I'm a fan of Against Myself. I've liked the last two albums. This song bored me. The guitar lead and the instrumentation are all fine, but all of the vocalist I absolutely hated. I'm a little opinionated because I hate how they treated Irene, so I already went in with I don't like the singer because I want Irene. I already came in with the mindset of the band of dicks because of what they did, if that is true, obviously, because this is just one person's opinion, which is Irene. I don't know what the band have yet to say on this subject. So, I am coming in with a bad mindset, and people may say, well, we can't take your word for it because obviously you are influenced by Irene. But I've just explained, obviously, in good detail what makes sense as to why this new vocalist isn't good. I do use things. I'm not just going to say, oh, she's bad because she's a dick and she replaced Irene or the band are dicks. No, I always will have an open mind to things, and I am always incredibly critical of things. I don't go in to music with emotion. I go in with a checklist to make sure everything works, and then if the song's good, that's what works for me. So as I say, the music is fine. A guitar solo, it's short, but again, it does have an emphasis on melody. The keyboard solo comes in at the end of the song. It's still a little short compared to what happened on the latest album, where the solos actually did have somewhat of a decent length to them. So the solos are short. It's quite annoying, but there is a sense of melody, and you do get two, which is good, which definitely is needed for it being a 6-minute plus song. The choir element does no justice to the vocalist, seeing that she's being operatic, and then when it comes to the chorus, the choir's going, and then she's pushing her choir voice even harder. It just gets incredibly irritating, and you just want to get something more, something else, something more versatile. So yeah, as I said, it makes sense. People don't like Herman Lee because he's not versatile, and people can't call him a legendary guitarist because he can't do anything but shred. Does this singer have a good voice? Yes. Can she do operatic stuff? Yes, because she does. Can she do something a lot cleaner or something in like any of Irene's style? Like, Irene could do opera herself, so she can also do this. And then other things. Can this vocalist do any of what Irene could? From this song, no. She only can do one thing that Irene can do, which is the opera thing. And then all the other things, the half a dozen things. Not even one thing. I don't see how that is an improvement. I see that as just worse. How can it be better? So, this song is basically a 5 out of 10. It is just average. The song's 6 minutes. It drags incredibly because of the vocalist, and the vocalist isn't diverse. I don't know if I'm going to like this band in the end of the day. I don't know.